Hello everyone, I'm Nick Peters, the gaming theologian, and I affirm the virgin birth. Is there a pathway from Moses to Mario? Okay, so we're going back to Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. We're going through one lever per game, or one world per game. So that I do appreciate the hot spring works so much faster. When we finish World 2 for the day, we're going to be done, except for tomorrow, since World 4 is just one lever. Again, this is the sequel to the original Kid Icarus game. And as I was preparing to come here tonight, just wanted to look and see what items I had here. I was thinking about what to talk about, and then I thought, it's interesting that, and yeah, these enemies are pretty much big feet falling from the sky. That's interesting. That so many games start, the ones we know as platformers, had a really simple concept. A, move from left to right. Or B, move from top to bottom. For an example of the latter, just consider Donkey Kong. What was the goal on the first lever, at least? To get Mario all the way up to the top. Ah, dang it. Well, we'll come back to this room later when we find Palentia's key. To get Mario all the way to the top. And what's an example of the former? Well, obviously, Super Mario Bros. Comes to mind. And so many others. Pretty much most any game in the beat-em-up genre has the goal, move from left to right. Even a lot of shooting games, the original Contra, in most of the stages, not all, but most, move from left to right. It was this idea that there was a set goal that you're supposed to reach. And you know how to reach that goal. You have to move from left to right. And in many of these, or from bottom to top. And in many of these, once you got past that opening part, thought I'd see if there was another chalice of health here, but it looks not. Once you got past a certain part of a stage, you couldn't go back. That was it. You were done. There not have been anything important you needed back there, because there was no going back to it. Now, this is a nice item you can get in some places where... Okay, I did not want to do that. I forgot that was there. That enemy just steals an item from you. So, anyway, when you go past that point, it is the point of no return. You better not be wanting anything back there. Yeah, definitely gonna be avoiding you from now on. Where did this concept come from, though? It seems so normal to us. Yeah, I'm gonna buy an item that you stole from me. Oh, I forgot I had a credit card there. That gave me a free item there. That was nice. want to go back so we can get Palentia's key here. Ah, that's something I was wanting, a chalice of health. And when we think about this, we can look, ask and say, well, geez, isn't it obvious? That's just the way history moves. No, it's not obvious. For many people, the Greeks, for instance, the world moved in a cyclical path. Aristotle thought he was at the peak of civilization, but it was the Jews of the time who had a different concept. The Jews looked and said, we have a God who is working in space and time, and he is moving civilization where he wants it to go. This was something the other cultures did not have a concept of. I mean, yeah, they kept records of history, but there wasn't, by and large, this idea that history is moving towards something. That there was this kind of process going on. But yet, for the Jews, history was the world God was acting in to bring about his purposes. This world was not accidental at all. It was the place where God was going to be dwelling with his people, and he was making his covenant with them. People mattered in history, and history really becomes then a story of God interacting and bringing about a purpose, even though a lot of people at the time would not have known what that purpose was. There was still a purpose. Ah, good. Now I can get reward. Definitely want to go back and get... Let me see how many do I have. Oh, 4. Good. Definitely want to go back and find that hot spring bow. Oh, that surely helped. And today, in our time, as much as I do disagree with the concept of woke today, there is one thing they get right, and that is this idea of heading towards a goal. They just have a wrong idea of what the goal should be. Is this belief that they have of, that many people have, that we will be able to bring about heaven on earth. It's pretty interesting to me that a lot of people who are atheists will write about how they don't believe in the goodness of God, the account of whom they all think is fictional, but they certainly believe in the goodness of man. And I've looked at the history of man. Those accounts are not fictional and they are not good. And is that our fault as Christians sometimes? Yeah. Sometimes we've screwed things up too. But the reason is not really because we're Christians. it's because we're men. And before you ladies start thinking highly of yourselves, yeah, women haven't done much better. Yeah, I'm not going to get that feather this time because the last time I did, those birds were waiting right there. Those are even worse than they were in the last game. The last Kid Icarus game. It certainly is a lot easier with a longbow. Hopefully I'll get a life bonus that will extend my life bar. There is a goodness in seeking justice and properly understood equality. But one important thing we have to start off is that we already do have equality in some sense. Ah, dang it, oh well. We are all equally in the image of God. And if you don't start with that, you really have no basis for law at that point. And this is why something like, say, abortion is such a danger to us. It's amazing we see so much activism cries for oppressed groups, and there will usually be the LGBTQ community. How about the oppressed groups of babies in the womb? That one seems pretty oppressed. The problem with our attempts to bring about utopia, Jimmy, though, is we're trying to do it apart from God. And when we do that, ultimately, we are going to have some men forcing their concept of utopia on other men. Because if you're trying to bring about utopia, well, that's definitely a good thing, isn't it? And if someone stands in that way, they are standing in the way of progress and they must be eliminated. And that's exactly what happens. Christians, though, in a sense, we also believe in a utopia. Oh, I guess he doesn't show up since I've got everything already. Except, utopia doesn't come about on our terms. It comes about on God's terms. And God acts in history to bring about his kingdom, ultimately done through the cross and the resurrection. I got 3 of those, okay. Now, I do think there is something interesting in that when we get to, I believe it's the end of 2 Peter 3, we're told that by living holy lives, you can speed his coming. Now that's an interesting claim, isn't it? That somehow, if we are doing the work of God, we can actually speed forward the return of Christ. And as someone who tends to be very much more post-millennial in my outlook, that makes perfect sense. And this bringing about the kingdom is done not through warfare, although sometimes in a national sense, warfare could be required for things. No, it's done through evangelism. How did the early Roman Empire become Christian? Because we were doing the work of evangelism. We didn't have the means to control an army at that point. You better believe it's good to see me. Strength is up to 5 now. By the way, in case you are wondering, and since I don't think I've said it explicitly, these enemies can't be killed. Ah, dang it, stole my longbow. We defeated the Roman army, Empire so much and overcame them that today, as it's been said, our children are named Peter and Paul. Our dogs are named Nero and Caesar. Okay, we'll go back and see what we can see here. Hopefully, we can avoid that thing for one. Oh, I don't know, maybe you can kill it. I was always under belief that you couldn't. Oh, you can! I guess it was in the other one you didn't. Learn something new every day. And the Christians acted because they believed that God had acted and God was acting through them. Now, here's something that a lot of internet atheists will go crazy upon hearing, but 100% true. Science thrived during the Christian Middle Ages. It was not a period of the Dark Ages, like some think. No, Christians were doing scientific work. Was it primitive scientific work? Yep, sure was. Did they get a lot of things wrong? Definitely. But they were still doing the work. They were still trying to understand the physical world God had given. Because they believed that if a rational mind created the world, and it was one good, rational mind, then that world could be understood, and that world would be orderly. You will not get that in polytheism, where there's a multiplicity of gods bringing about things. Yeah, I guess I gotta do this again, thanks to that stupid thief bird. Why is a thunderstorm rising up? Well, obviously, we didn't provide the sacrifices to Zeus that he requires, so he's unleashing his judgment on us. If your child gets sick, well, you better go to the temple and pray to the right God in hopes that they will be healed. And this kind of thinking still goes on today in some societies. But for a lot of us, it seems different, odd to conceive. And that's because now we're so scientifically thinking, although that's part of it, but also because Christianity took a hold of us. We came to believe in a concept of order, an atheistic universe, we practically have to ask, why? Why does the universe even make sense at all? Why do we understand it? And how can we be sure it's going to stay this way? It's amazing a lot of atheists quote Hume, and they seem to forget that Hume also said that if you drop a stone one time or 1,000 times, that's not proof that it's going to fall the 1,001st time. In other words, the past is no guarantee of how the future is going to turn out. Unless, of course, you're talking about miracles. And then, by golly, since those never happened in the past, we can be sure they're never going to happen in the future. It's just funny how the rules of the game change when it's convenient. The Christian world provides order, and it provides hope for the future. This is something important to understand about the so-called problem of evil. Removing God, as I've contended, does not remove the problem. It just removes any kind of solution to the problem. Okay, I guess I can't get a second power up. So when you take away God from suffering, you still have suffering. All you've done is removed a solution to suffering. And how does that help anyone? Even on a practical level, you would think one should at least want theism to be true, because then there is some kind of hope in the face of suffering today. Oh yeah. And Charles Templeton told Lee Strobel once that when he stopped believing in God, it was because of a picture he saw of a black woman struggling in Africa with her children starving because there was a lack of rain. And he said, I don't believe a good God would allow that to happen. Okay, so you remove God from the picture. The woman is still in Africa. She still has starving children. And there's still a lack of rain. What benefit have you brought about, then? The problem doesn't have a solution now. It's just, well, I guess it's all up to us. And if you believe in the unlimited goodness of man to bring about utopia, you are likely to be very disappointed. Some people might think, well, do we see this idea of progress, though, in the New Testament? Yeah. Yeah, we do. Look at how Jesus talks about the kingdom of God. He compares it to a mustard seed that starts off as the smallest of seeds and then grows so that birds come and lay under its branches. Or look at how he talks about the little bit of yeast going through the whole batch of dough. That's saying the kingdom starts off small and grows much bigger. That's an idea of progress. But in Christian terms. And this progress comes in men submitting to God, the true Lord of history, and something fascinating for us as Christians is we are allowed to play a part in this history. We have some say in the story. Oh, good, another power up. And if you're looking and saying about this, well, I don't really want to serve God in the story. C.S. Lewis said that everyone inevitably serves God in the story. Judas served God, and John served God. One served alongside with God, working together. The other one was in opposition, but both were serving. Okay. That looked way too suspicious. So, whatever you do, you're not going to stop the kingdom of God. You're not going to stop God working among his people. Of course, all this goes with the idea that Christianity is true and God exists, and Jesus rose from the dead, and I've made the case for that elsewhere. I've made a few live streams about the existing of God, as I prefer to say instead of the existence of God, and there's a reason for that. I'm planning on doing some material soon on the resurrection of Jesus here. But if that's true, as Christians, the best thing we can do, really, is learn to get in line. Okay, I don't really need anything back there now, since I've got all the treasures already, so I'm just going to go on ahead. And well, I hope we get a life power, probably will sometime. But not this time. I love having all these power-ups in here. And for us as Christians, we need to realize how serious our sins are. That with sin, we are going against the will of the Almighty. We are in essence trying to hinder what he desires, not just for ourselves, but all of humanity. I mean, Jesus' words are pretty serious. He who is not with me is against me. That means there's a lot of people that are going to... Oh yeah, you can change it automatically. Got it. That's right. That could be thinking they are serving Jesus, and they're not. I would include in that group people like for Mormons, for Jehovah's Witnesses, for Muslims. So many who think they have the true Jesus. And some of them really sort of say, well, how can you be sure you have the true Jesus? And I say, because I've spent several years studying this, and yes, reading some of your arguments against what I believe, and I've found them lacking. And I would encourage you, if you're a member of one of these groups, read something that argues against you. We're going to sneak through here if we can. And if you're a Christian, read something that argues against you. Be informed about what other people are saying about Jesus. But to get back to our point, Jesus does invite us to be a part of the kingdom. And he invites us to take part in his story. It is a story of good versus evil. And we are invited to participate in it. I guess there's no place to find the map here, or where. We are invited to join in what God is doing. God does not ask us to be spectators on the side, and he very well could have. He could have left evangelism to angels, for instance. He did not. He specifically gave a task to us, and he expects us to do it. And some people might be tempted to question his wisdom in trusting creatures like us, but this is what he did, and there's no arguing against it. I'm not saying we shouldn't explore the question of why he did this. I think it's definitely worth exploring. But we realize at the end, he did it. He wants us to do the work. He wants us to evangelize the world. And we better do it. Because this story is going somewhere, whether we want it to or not. Okay, here's the boss this time, and after we beat this boss, we're going to stop for the day, but here's all his attacks. Right here. Yep, that's it. All the guy does is just fly around the chamber. That's it. Which is why I say this is the easiest boss in the game, because not only does he just do this, he moves slow. So you can see everything okay, where he picks up a bit once he takes enough damage. But it's still not enough to be a significant threat. Oh, I forgot he does that too. But again, still not enough to be a threat. Heck, apparently he's only done that one time so far. I mean, thus far we haven't even been hit one time. Seems to be a little graphic glitch there. And practically it seems like if you stay in this one corner, he can't even hit you. Okay, he finally got hit. Which, that was pretty pathetic indeed. You know, at the end of this, people, please remember that what I do is supported by listeners like you, viewers like you. Please go to Patreon, become a donor, $5 a month. If you want to do more, excellent, I celebrate, but please try to do at least $5 a month for me. Okay? Price of at most 2 cups of coffee. I also have a Substack. I'll be writing on it soon. I have a Discord. A lot of good chats you can get in over there, hopefully, eventually. But next time, we're going to finish this game off. And I've got the next long game in mind after that. Until then, I'm Nick Peters, the gaming theologian. I affirm the virgin birth. And whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. Even your gaming.